Yep, next to the MARR Army Rock Show, we always like bringing new music to you, and making their first appearance on the MARR Army Rock Show is Killing Rapunzel. We've got Dakota with us. Dakota, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, K-Rock?
Hey, man, things are going great here. We just came back from your neck of the woods. We were up there at Rockfest, had a great time up in the Midwest. So, hey, I mentioned you're new to the rock show here, so introduce people to Killing Rapunzel. Give us a little bit of the history of the band and tell us about you guys.
Well, we're a bunch of 19-year-old punk kids, and basically we're influenced by artists such as like Iron Maiden, Metallica, Judas Priest, and Motley Crue. We had just dropped our debut album, Taking Control, which was June 11th, 2016. And now we are moving forward on like going out of state. So we're heading to Iowa. I believe it's the 19th and 20th. Heading out towards like Muscatine area. So and we're a growing business. So we're slowly working our way up.
So let's start things off talking about the, as you referred to yourself, I wouldn't call you a 19-year-old punk kid, but I think you meant it in the musical loving sense of the word. So tell us, how does a group of guys such as yourself get drawn to that type of music?
Well, most of us, me and Brandon, the bass player, we were born and raised on like some of the classic stuff. Like Brandon likes the Led Zeppelin, and I'm more of like Iron Maiden type of stuff. So it was kind of, we've been heavily influenced by our parents. And then Emmett, he's more influenced by some of like As I Lay Dying or artists such as that. So where he picked that up, I have no idea. But actually, his dad's in a polka band and stuff. So. But, yeah, so that's it. It's kind of, we just found it. So, and then just something that stuck. So.
Now, given your age already, you guys have been around a couple years already, haven't you? You've been a band for a little bit, right?
Yeah, we've been, it's kind of strange of our history. We've been, 5-piece for most of, what Killing Rapunzel has been, but within the last, I'd say 7 months, we've been a 3-piece. So, I guess just people in the band just couldn't hack it, and us as professionals, like with the professional mindset and moving forward, we've been together actually about a year. But as long as we've been around, like with the name, we've been around for about 4 years.
So you mentioned the album Taking Control is out now, so tell us a little bit more about that album. Very cool, full-length release. I was actually listening to the record as you called today, and give us a little bit about that information. Who produced that? Where'd you record the thing?
Well, you might be shocked, but our drummer had done all the producing on that album, and we recorded it out of what used to be an old hospital. We rent out a small office space, and we recorded and mixed everything all ourselves. So, yeah, that's us. So I think our drummer's a child prodigy. So when it comes to mixing and mastering that stuff.
You all must be prodigies of some sort to have been able to produce this quality of an album, at your young age and already be out there doing this. So, talk a little bit about the music up in your area. We only get up to the Midwest every once in the blue moon there, but you are pretty far up north there. You're in a pretty cold area, aren't you?
Yeah, well, actually, we're probably maybe about an hour and 30 away from Cadott, where you guys went for a rock fest. But in this area, actually, the music scene is quite versatile. I mean, there's some rock and metal, but none of the artists around here seem to be like exact like copycats. Like back in the '80s, like when like Poison and all of them, it was just kind of like they were almost like a copy and paste kind of thing. Not saying that the music was, but the look was. But here, it's relatively versatile, and we're the scene here is relatively healthy. Like today, they have we're not part of it this year due to some management things, but we have a 400 block rock party every year. So this is the second annual thing, and we have it at the 400 block, which is like a big square in the middle of the city. So a bunch of there's blues bands, there's some rock bands, and different other bands there that are playing, and those are like categorized as some of the top bands in the local area. So it's a relatively healthy scene out here. So
it's certainly the festivals, the two festivals we've been up to up there, Moon Dance Jam and that were certainly well attended and definite evidence of what you're saying. So I learned to quit asking bands like what their favorite song on a record was, because I know they're like babies to most of the artists and they can't pick. So I want to ask this differently. When you guys perform live, what is the tune that gets the audience's attention the most off the new record?
Probably the one song that we like to play live and that the audience definitely feels like the energy is a song called Pissed On. I can't remember what track it is on the album, but that's the number one song that definitely gets people moving, because I don't know if it's just the message that's behind it or if it's just the way that it sounds, and it's kind of got that like Alice in Chains kind of ripping sound to it. You know, it's got a definitely grungier tone to it. So
give us a little more about the message behind it. You said it's to some of the crowd. Like, what is the message behind that to you?
The message behind it is basically, some of it has to do with a lot of life experiences, but the main message behind it is those basically making a statement saying that I will no longer let other people influence me or in a sense hurt me like emotionally or physically, etc. So, and it's basically like no longer will I be pissed on is basically saying that I'm pushing this out, I'm moving forward, and basically screw you. Well, there's a couple other select few words in there that I would say, but yeah, so that's basically what the message is, and I think it's a very positive message saying that I am who I am, and I guess if you don't like me, then you can just go away.
So a lot of things about your band really do scream of that kind of classic throwback 80s rock and roll. By the way, I'm thrilled that you guys are doing so. We talk about all the time that bands are going to keep that genre of music alive because, so many of them are getting older. And even with the album cover to Taking Control, I wanted to ask you about the artwork. Some pretty cool artwork on that thing. Tell us about it.
The guy who did the artwork, his name is Dan Baisley, Baisley, I think his name is. But basically what I did is we originally had the logo made, which was the Killing Rapunzel, and the person who did the logo, we wanted a skull with long hair, and that's what he came up with. And I'm like, that's like a mascot of some sort, so kind of like the Iron Maiden type of feel, like, you've got Eddie or whatever. Now, what the skull's name is, we don't have a name for it yet, but I'm like, that's our mascot. So I'm like, this is what I want. I want the album cover is relatively symbolic, and I think that the message that's behind the album cover is that the skull, in a sense, represents us, and then the orcs and various things that are attacking the skull are necessarily the evils of the world. So that's my perception of the album cover. Other people might be like, oh, that's just orcs and a skull ripping through a city, and that's what he came up with, and I thought that it was awesome. And I think that a lot of bands now necessarily don't put so much emphasis on artwork when they're it's just a picture of the band or whatever. And I'm not knocking those other bands, but I like to see, when I pick up an album and be like, that's awesome. That is some awesome. I want that on my wall,
Now, do you guys, because you have such a kind of I don't call it throwback mentality to it, but have you considered doing vinyl of the album, or is it already out on vinyl by chance?
No, it's not on vinyl yet. We are going to work on getting vinyl very shortly, but there's some other things that we have to take care of to get that going, but vinyl is definitely at the top of our list because a lot of people have been asking about it, and with vinyl, in a sense, I don't want to say coming back, but I mean, it's never left, but I think that since the popularity is going back up in the younger generation to get vinyl, that now would be the time to do vinyl. So.
Yeah, man, it definitely is coming back. I think it's okay to say that. It's been a real resurgence. Just hearing you talk about the album cover and that experience, I had as a young man holding that record, that nice big photograph, and your album would have been a great one to do that on. So, hey, you mentioned you got, you're planning to expand. So, what's your goal for the band, let's say by the end of the year? Where do you hope to be this time next year if I talk to you again?
Oh, well, I hope you talk to me again. But our goal is to, first off, I am planning a tour in November. I don't have any dates yet, but everything is self-sustained in this band. So we've dealt with the booking agency and the management agency, but we just seem to work better as independents. But I will be planning a tour in November, so it's going to be probably a small Midwest tour. But by next year, I would assume that we would have at least done our first national tour, maybe even a second one. We drive a 35-foot RV, so we're ready to rock with a 20-foot trailer. So all we got to do is just get up, and which, by the way, we've all worked for it. So we've kicked our ass like none of this was just given to us. I mean, our families come as poor could possibly get. So, but.
Wow, man. Well, congratulations. I was actually going to ask you, I saw a picture of that band. I was like, you guys rolling some pretty nice stuff for, an up-and-coming band. And that's awesome that you're doing it. People, so many people don't know how hard it is to make a living out there in this industry. And just encourage people, man, if they come see your band, go buy something from them, man. Buy a shirt, buy a hat, buy a CD, because it's what keeps these guys rolling. So, man, I wish you the best of luck. I've had a pleasure talking with you. Once again, the name of the album is Taking Control, and I love talking with you, man. We'll keep following you guys.
All right, that sounds good, and we'll keep following the same. So we'll send people over your way for your radio show and all the other good stuff, and keep working together as a team. So that's what I like.